What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to go ahead and do this live. I'll give it a second so people can come in, but not too long though. But a lot I want to say. You know, a lot I want to say and all that. But here's the deal, guys. Okay, um, I am I don't understand what people don't understand for the life of me. I just don't get what's so confusing to people about this whole thing. Right? It's not that complicated, right? It just isn't. Um, I'm gonna tell you what's going on right now with a lot of people. All right, a lot of people on the far right, right, are attacking or going at the IOC and the Olympics for allowing what appears to be two men to be participating in boxing, which is fighting women. And because of the way they're choosing to word things and say things, what's happening is that now you have people on the left that are deciding, well, we're going to go the contrarian route. We're going to go the opposite, right? If they're saying that this is wrong, we're going to say that it's right. If they're saying they're wrong about her being transgendered, so see, they're wrong about everything. Therefore, we're just going to take the stance that she was born a woman. It's a woman, and it's a smearing tactic by the right, and that's it, right? Like that's basically the what's going on right now. But what I'm going to tell you, right, is that this is not an issue of ideology. This is not a right or left issue. This is not conservative or liberal. This has nothing to do with any of that. People are choosing to make it that, right? People are choosing to do that. People are choosing to call one side. Oh, it's fake outrage, but you're acting fake in your outrage against the people calling it out. So everyone, I guess, is being fake, I guess. But let me just put it as simple as I possibly can with this issue. All right. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not this like right wing dude. Like everybody that knows me knows this. Like it's not like I'm not taking a stance because I'm in the right or like anything like that. I'm not a Trump supporter. Like I'm not like so I don't understand this whole like to me, none of that matters. It doesn't matter who's putting the message out. It doesn't matter if people are wording it a certain way and you don't like none of that matters to me. All right. Here's what matters to me. Khelif was disqualified just last year, in the year 2023, World Championships after failing an unspecified gender eligibility test. Right? That is the issue I have. Now, people say, oh, no, but that organization is corrupt. Okay. The whole IOC is corrupt, bro. The IOC is fucking corrupt. So you're going to use that argument. It doesn't work with me. I'm getting, she was born a female. Oh, we were wrong the whole time. What does that mean? What do you mean? What does it mean? I'll ask you again. So, because there's pictures of this boxer when she was 7, 8 years old and there's a bow in her head, right? That means automatically, okay, she was born a female. That's what that means? There's pictures of that? Oh, Algeria, they're a Muslim country. They don't allow trans athletes. So, okay, discussion over. No, discussion's not over. What are you talking about? What's with this whole like, oh no, it's over, that's it, it doesn't matter? No, what are we doing? I'm going to ask again, why did they fail a gender test? Meaning they came up XY. Why? No pun intended. And then the IOC has an opportunity to clear the air on these things, and they don't clear anything. They clear nothing. Now, I'm in the process right now. I'm trying to look for an audio. For some reason, here it is. I'm going to play this for you, and then I'm going to talk about it.
To the female athletes who are competing, who are very concerned that they will get in the ring against athletes who are so powerful, and they feel that they have an unfair advantage because of their high testosterone levels.
I think what I would say at this stage is that, as I said before, these athletes, boxers, are entirely eligible. They are women on their passport. They have competed for many years, and I actually think it's not helpful to start stigmatizing people who take part in sport like this. But they are women. They competed in Tokyo. I think we all have a responsibility, by the way, to try to dial down this and not turn it into some kind of witch hunt. These are regular athletes who've competed for many years in boxing. They're entirely eligible. They are women on their passports, and that, I think, is enough said from me. So thank you very much.
That is not a good answer. You have a responsibility to dial it down. You have a responsibility to not talk about it. Stop asking me. In other words, stop asking me these questions. Hey, she's a female in the passport, so end of story, right? The chromosome, that's what matters here, okay? So people are coming out right now, they're saying things that are true, but it doesn't attack the issue. So for example, they're not transgendered. Well, I never said they were transgendered, right? Could you argue there's a bigger issue at hand with the transgendered athletes being allowed to participate against women? First of all, I want everybody to snap this in time right now, right? And remember all the people. I want you to remember all the people, right? That right now argue, no, she was born a woman, to end the argument, right? I want you to remember them. Because somewhere down the line in the future, when there is a man that does a transition, and they try to argue it doesn't matter, just remember that in this case, they were using the "were born a woman" argument. I just want to put that really quick. Make sure you snapshot this in time. Make sure to look at all the people that are saying this is perfectly fine because it's two women in there because she was born a female, right? I just want you to remember that. I want you to always remember that. With all that said, let me go to my point here. I'm a firm believer that XX should fight XX. XY should fight XY. Now, there is people that are born intersex. That does exist. A very small percentage of people, all right, are born that way. Meaning they could be born with, it could be a mixture of many things. They could be born with body parts of a female and a male, right? They could be born with a penis, but everything else is a female. They could be born with a vagina, but everything else is a male. It could be a mix of many things. In some cases, they can get pregnant if they have a body part of a female. Some cases they can't. It's complicated to a certain degree, right? But it's a very, very small percentage of people, right? All of a sudden, just keep in mind, all of a sudden, everybody's all about how you're born and all of a sudden, right? Fine. But here's my issue. And I want to give a shout out to the Spit Bucket, right? Because I thought they made a very good point, right? And I'm going to get to that point. But before I get there, we don't know. We have no idea if this. I'm speculating that we're born with a vagina, right? And they may still have testicles because of the high testosterone levels. Now, we don't know the testosterone levels of this athlete specifically, right? if you're intersex and if you have testicles, you're going to produce more testosterone, right? Than a female that doesn't have testicles, for example. That's a general thing I'm saying, right? But we don't know. But I'm guessing she was born with a vagina because her parents, obviously, when she was born, said, "Oh, she's a girl." That's why she grew up as a girl, and that's why there's a bow in her head and all that, right? So my issue is this: she failed a gender eligibility test, and the reason they do gender eligibility tests, first of all, don't be naive. There are people that are trying to sneak themselves in the system. All right. So like you want to, like, not everyone's going to be forthcoming and be, oh yeah, I was born a man and then I made a transition to be a female, right? So for that reason, they do gender eligibility tests, right? Because XY and XX doesn't lie, all right? In the best case scenario for this athlete is that she was born with a vagina, right? And I don't know if they have ovaries or they have testicles or vice. I have no idea. Okay. But best case scenario, they were born with a vagina, so her parents say, okay, she's a girl, right? However, she could have like some type of disorder or condition, right, that gives her the Y chromosome, right? But here's the reality that gives this athlete an unfair advantage because they have a chromosome of a man, which is why and I'm trying to be as, I don't want to come off as an asshole, but I guess I'll just be the asshole, right? There's a reason people speculate it. I'll just put it that way. So since they have, the Y chromosome, in my opinion, they should be fighting against men. Now, somebody might say, I can't find the tweet, so I'll just have to paraphrase. My issue is this. If I say, oh, Khelif, well, okay, then they tested XY, they should participate. Any athlete that tests XY in any type of gender test should fight against men because they have a Y chromosome. The comeback will be, oh, no, that's unfair. Because it's more complicated than this, but let's say we say it's half woman, half man. Well, they're part woman, so it's unfair for them to have to fight the men. That's unfair. We can't do that. But it's totally fair that women have to fight somebody who's part man. And I'm not saying that to be funny. Like, they have a Y chromosome. So, like, that is my issue. Now, again, I'm only going by the failed test from last year. Now, if somebody could prove to me, right? Yeah, that test was totally fraudulent, right? Because that's what they all like Ryan Garcia came out and said, I never had that in my system. And then later on said it was whatever, bro. You know what I mean? Just talking about testing in particular, just specifically. It's unfair for this boxer to box men because that would totally be unfair because she's part woman. But if they box women, that's totally fair. The women just have to deal with the fact that they have a Y chromosome. They just have to deal with that fact, right? And yeah, people that don't have a brain, like they'll say things like, people are acting like it's Deontay Wilder in there just knocking people out. She's lost before. Yes, but ask yourself this question. Whose spot did they take? Whose Olympic dream was crushed because they qualified for the Olympics? This girl just lost. The Italian girl just lost. Her Olympic hopes crushed. It's not about are they beatable or not. So that's not what it's about. It's about if it was the other way around. Like, here's my thing. Think about the low, like a very small percentage of people are Olympic athletes. very small percentage, less than 1%, are Olympic athletes. How many intersex people? Let me see. 1.7% of the population are intersex to some degree, right? 1.7. The specific type of intersex that would require somebody to be a quote unquote woman born with a vagina but have like a Y chromosome is going to be even a smaller percentage, right? So you're telling me that somebody from the 1.7% is just naturally a woman and is naturally a less than a 1% athlete in the world, is what you're telling me. Or is it that since they have a Y chromosome, right, it's what even makes them, well, they would just be a regular dude the other way around. If they were fighting men, they wouldn't even qualify for the Olympics. They probably wouldn't be good enough to make the Algerian boxing team, right? But since they're able to box the women, they're able to be an Olympic athlete. All right, so like just think about that. You need to like really think about that. Oh, no, but it's not her fault that she has a white chromosome. All I know is this: to put it to rest, the IOC shouldn't shut people up. The answer isn't what this dude said. He literally shut up the reporter. Said, you have a responsibility to not even talk about this. The reporter was just asking a question to the IOC. And the dude's just like, stop the witch hunt. Like, what are we talking about? It's just a question. Can we not do a test? You want to end it? Oh, the passport says female. That's not good enough to me. I'm sorry. It's just not, it isn't good enough to me. We need to know more about what's going on. And more transparency is not a witch hunt. It can actually clear the air on a lot of things, if anything. That's what I want. I want you to clear the air for me. I want you to release the information more. I want more transparency with what's going on with these boxers, right? And if there's somebody who's suspected, right? You could call it whatever you want, right? Transparency is going to set you free, not silence. Transparency is what works, okay? Not shutting people up. Transparency is what works. That's what works. I want transparency here, not censorship. You have a responsibility to dial it down. Like, she just asked a question, bro. That reporter just asked a question directly to the IOC, and the answer was dial it down, stop talking about it, shut up. She's female in her passport, in the story. That's not a good answer. And I don't understand how can anybody possibly believe that's a good answer? We need more transparency, right? Is what we need. So you could call doing a third party company or something doing a test. You could call that a witch hunt if you want. That's not a witch hunt. That's transparency. It's just to clear the air, right? We have questions because there's a report from 2023. We have questions because boxers are just saying certain things. Like all I'm saying is that we want transparency. That's all we want. That's all I want. Transparency, not censorship, IOC. You know, boxing is getting the most attention it's gotten in years in the Olympics right now, and it's for all the wrong reasons. People have not talked about boxing in the Olympics this much in years, right? It's amazing, bro. Everyone's talking about it, and it's for all the wrong reasons. And the lack of transparency is what's causing this whole issue to begin with. Unbelievable. Anyway, if you want my stance on it, I'm going to be very honest with you. I think anyone who has a Y chromosome, I think the dominant chromosome should, like, if they have that, should take precedence. So what I mean by that is you should be participating against men. And the answer to that is, well, it's unfair because the men are too good or too fast. Well, too bad. That's not my problem. Welcome to the world of 99.9% of us who can't compete in the Olympics either. All right? Like, you just have an unfair advantage. That's my stance on it. XX should face XX, XY should fight XY in every sport. That's just my take, right? Remy, that's a good point. The Olympics are publicly funded. Transparency is a must. You see, they call it witch hunting, but here's the problem. If you know what the term witch hunting comes from, right? Witch hunts were not based on transparency. Witch hunts were based on conjecture. They were based on accusations. Was what witch hunts were based on, right? By falsehoods. It was the opposite of transparency when it came to witch hunts, right? I'm asking for witch hunts. I'm sorry. Well, what the fuck? That's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for witch hunts. I'm asking for transparency, right? Is what I'm asking for. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let them shame you if you're asking a good faith question. Don't let them shame you if you're looking for an answer from the people who are supposed to give you the answer. It's not like this girl was surrounded by a bunch of right-wingers that are anti-trans and just spouting shit. She was asking an IOC member. No witch hunt, I said, man. No witch hunt. Right? We want transparency. That's it. Transparency could end all this shit. You could end it. You could end it in a day. Look, we're going to have this third party do it. They're going to do a test. Oh, look, it's XX. Let me show you why it's XX. And boom, right? But if it's XY, then you got to face XY. You notice how it's never the other way? You're never, mark my words, you're never going to hear of a trans athlete dominating the men's sports. And you're never going to hear about an intersex athlete dominating the men's sports either. You're never going to hear that. Mark my words. It's never going to happen. But make no mistake about it. If transgendered people, right, who have a Y chromosome are allowed to compete against women, you're going to see a lot of them, all right, participating at high levels. So, like, that's my take on it, right? You don't have to agree. You don't have to disagree, right? That's my take on it. That's what I believe. So people can say what they want. It is what it is. I'm out. Peace.